I'm surprised not many people are talking about Solemn Vale. If you're a fan of folk horror, which is very big right now, I feel, please check it out, and I'll go into more detail why in a sec. Disclaimer, I did get this as a review copy. Also, I'm not covering every rule in here, and if you're interested, you can check out the affiliate link through DriveThruRPG down below in the description. A quick overview of Solemn Vale. It was created by Dirty Vortex, which is a company created by Mark Kelly, who has worked on World of Darkness games in the past as an artist. And it has a couple of other World of Darkness alumni in it. Chris Allen and Matthew Dawkins, to be specific, as far as the ones that I could identify right out. There might be more, but I'm very bad at remembering people's names. It is a six-sided die system that emulates the folk horror genre. It is very narrative focused, and we'll get into the mechanics in a little bit. Feel free to jump around if you want with the links, timestamps down below. So the setting for Solemn Vale is a 1970s farming town in southwest England called Solemn Vale, though this is more of a toolkit for a game master to use to try and create their own rustic environment for a horror scenario. You can pick and choose the different parts of it. If you need some inspiration, I can highly recommend things like Black Mass, which was on an island, which had its own sort of like weird things going on. I see the priest planning to perform a resurrection scenario as being very similar to what happens in that show. Additionally, you have things akin to doomsday cults, troubled families who might have some dark history about them, and then some monstrous wildlife that is like the Hound of the Baskervilles type thing. And it definitely hits the notes of folk horror, which I really enjoy, and there's a lot of it in there. You're not going to find yourself wanting when it comes to scenarios and different pieces to throw into your horror. And I would just buy this book just for that alone. Gameplay is relatively simple. You have a single six-sided die that you roll, and you hope you get a result that either meets or exceeds the challenge value of the challenge you're trying to overcome. Now, this can range from 2 to 10. Sometimes it can go higher. But in order to get a six-sided die to beat a roll or challenge value of, say, 7 or better, you need to add points to it. These points come from your abilities, so your body, mind, and soul. If I were to, for example, try and lift a car off of somebody, that would be my body ability points being put into that roll. So I'd say maybe it has a challenge value of 6. I might spend 5 points in it to guarantee that I'm going to succeed on the roll, or I might try and hedge my bets a little and only put 3 in and hope that's enough to lift up the car. If other people are in the scene, they can spend their ability points as well. If I use a weird resource, I can actually instead use a different ability. So if I don't have enough body to lift up the car, maybe I use a hand crank to lift it up instead. And I say, okay, can I use mental instead? And the GM will say, yeah, that makes sense for a hand crank. That is more mental than physical, because it's using physics in some way. But you can also use weird if you're not in a scene to help other people out. Say, for instance, that a friend of yours went down a well and you're at the top of the well, and now they're fighting a crocodile underneath or something. Well, you can't help them out normally because you're not down there, but you can spend weird to allow them to use your ability points. Things of that nature. And I really do enjoy these cards that are here above me. This is one thing that I might print them out if I was to play this game and sort of like hand them out to players to show this is like how much you need to succeed against this threat and things of that nature. Each of these things, like foreboding, threat, and taint, are related to different abilities. So threat is related to your body, for instance, because you're fighting it, kind of. As a narrative game, Solemn Vale does things a little bit differently. So for failure, you have things like narrative failure, which you're familiar with, such as, oh, you're trying to get into your car, but the engine won't start, or something of that nature. Whereas Damage, instead of being like health points, is actually your ability points. And when you lose ability points, they'll go down and down, and once they reach 0, you scratch out that ability, meaning you can't use it in this scene. I do believe they reset after a time, but I'm not sure when that happens. I'll have to double check. But trauma is when an effect is so crazy powerful that it causes you to scratch out your ability completely. So even if you have points in it, you can't use it. This is something like a magical paralysis thing that causes you to lose all body points or something of that nature. You can also raise or lower your current personal weird pool. Weird has a variety of different effects, so it's not always good. I believe when your character is defeated, which means all 3 of their abilities are scratched out, you have to roll your number of weird as a pool, and if you roll a single 6 on the number of d6s equal to your weird, if you roll a single 6 on that roll, your character basically is now against the other players. You still lose the control of the character when they are defeated, but that's you don't just lose control, but you're also now an antagonist, which is a common trope in folk horror where someone gets corrupted and is now against the others. There are also stage rules. There are some effects of a stage that might be triggered based on a failure. As far as my verdict goes for this game, I'd give it a one-shot, or maybe even run a one-shot of it. It looks like it would work really well during Halloween, and it is definitely a simple enough system that I can get people who are unfamiliar with role-playing games to give it a shot, I think. That being said, there are actual plays of this up online. I've done a quick cursory look, and you can find a lot of them, I think. So please check it out over there if you can. I might put a link to one of them down below. What's your favorite folk horror movie or TV show? Please just put it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. My favorite one at the moment is definitely on my mind is Black Mass, just because I really like that idea of a community on an island trapped with this creature that they don't know about, but that people are sort of worshiping as if it is a deity, essentially. In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the Patreon. I'll have a link down below for that as well. It really helps us out. Mage the Awakening is coming. It just takes a long time for me to edit that. And I apologize for not having any videos out really in the month of November. That was just because it was the worst month I've ever had, which culminated in me not being able to stand up without my entire back screaming in agony. So hopefully I feel a lot better this December. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.